Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn through the misfortunes of others. As always, I hope you'll enjoy this legal education content. And today will be the day I earn that subscription. For today's coverage, we are dealing with the pile of Johnny Depp stupid, because there has been so much Johnny Depp stupid that we have not covered. So many articles and hot takes that are out there, and now seems like a good time to start catching up on these hot takes and the stupid. Just because they occurred in the past doesn't make them any less stupid, nor any less worthy of me reviewing them, even though it means a potential aneurysm from me. So we've got a series of articles today, and a series of stupid over the past couple days/weeks of Johnny Depp coverage, and by no means is it the end of the stupid. I've got an entire Word document just filled with stupid, and they keep writing more stupid. So we might be doing Johnny Depp stupid, I don't know, until I die, which could be tonight, again, with the aneurysm. But let's just start somewhere and see where we go and see how it does and all that shit. All that good times. So let us start with some stupid from a person who knows a lot about stupid, Monica Lewinsky. Monica Lewinsky has some thoughts she would like to share about the Johnny Depp trial and being a woman in the public eye. How exciting. How exciting. So we're going to read this and do this. So let us get started with that. All right. So Monica Lewinsky writes, "We are all guilty. Are we now? Are we now?" Now, what Monica Lewinsky may or may not know is that "we are all guilty" is half of a somewhat common expression. Well, maybe not that common, but still. And the other half would be "we are all guilty, so no one is to blame." This is an idea where we avoid responsibility for our actions and our thoughts because everyone does it. Everyone is guilty, so no one is to blame. So maybe that's where she's going. Or more, she's like, we're all implicated because we've all said mean things against Amber Heard and or Me Too and or against women and or against whatever. So which variety of stupid will it be? Who can say? There's so much possibilities with the stupid and Monica Lewinsky. Happened to me, happened to Amber Heard, it can happen to you too. Okay, maybe that's where we're going. Courtroom porn and social media have turned innocent bystanders into a mess of mudslingers. Okay. Interesting ideas for sure with the stupid. Unless you're a troglodyte, you've been exposed to something about the Depp Heard trial in the past few weeks. Like many, I've averted my eyes with guilty fascination, even as I've kept track of the defamation conflagration. The woman does like her words of imagery. As we all do nowadays, we watch or we read or we media gaze about these private turned public spectacles in bits and bytes, fearing that the sheer rancor and vulgarity might leave a kind of virtual stench, or in any case, worrying that prolonged viewing might be triggering. Don't know what I'm talking about? Google 1998. I don't know, Monica, what happened in 1998? I'm having a hard time connecting the dots. Today, most of us are consuming gossip, news, and entertainment news totally differently than we did in the days of yore. From the first televised trial of the bad guys from World War II's final solution architect, Adolf Eichmann, 1961. Holy shit. I mean, we went for broke, man. Damn. shit. Holy, I didn't see that coming, man. Who had Adolf Eichmann in their bingo card as it relates to Johnny Depp? Holy shit. Wow. To the dawn of court TV in the 1990s, Google the people of the state of California versus Orthenthal James Simpson. Indeed, in lieu of watching coverage in real time, yes, Johnny Depp 2 and Amber Laura Heard has been available on Court TVC website and live stream on YouTube. And, heaven forbid with all that, we have sampled mediated accounts of the trial on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook through memes, video clips, and TikTok suggest. Our consumption, therefore, has tended to be biased, curated, and cursory. Okay. The public is commenting on the public trial in a public way? Question mark, question mark, question mark. What's more, we've become so attuned to this narrow, cynical cycle of social media encounters that we consider the trial not tragic or pathetic, which it's neither of those. It's more redemptive, but that's just me. But as a pure car wreck, accessible, tawdry, and immediately gratifying. I don't know. Justice being done sounds good to me. We dispense with critical thinking and substitute the cheap thrill. Hey, that's not cool, man. I'm all about the critical thinking. I'm the most critical thinking person in the room, usually. I love the critical thinking. I've been doing the critical thinking all throughout this trial. I was doing the critical thinking and the skepticism and all the rest of it as somewhat infamously. And then, I listened to the evidence and I considered it and I weighed it in a very sort of way where I think my critical thinking skills were well intact. And having examined all the evidence in a very neutral, objective, and reasoned way, I have weighed the evidence and found one side to be, much better than the other. The fact that I have reached strong conclusions does not imply that I was biased. Maybe it implies that the evidence is just absolutely, devastatingly overwhelming in every possible way. Fun times. Such a scattershot consumption hasn't allowed for real comprehension. Instead, we experience only apprehension, knee-jerk outrage, and titillation. Well, catharsis. Also, I think, some catharsis for many people. It's like going to the opera and reading a couple of translated super titles, but not understanding Italian. And despite whatever this else is, it is a soap opera. It's real world with real people and real testimony. It is not, a fantasy. It's reality. Okay. In this perfunctory, voyeuristic way, again, this woman does love her descriptive language and her descriptive examples, to the point where, again, lest we forget, we're comparing the Johnny Depp trial to O.J. Simpson and the trial of Eichmann. I mean, why don't we just bring in Marie Antoinette into this while we're at it? Why don't we bring in Proctor from the Salem witch trials into this? I maybe, not enough with those with Izzy Proctor. I saw Izzy Proctor speaking with the devil. Okay, hey, let's as long as we're going for broke, right? How about as long as we're going for imagery, we go with Pontius Pilate. Barabbas, Barabbas, bring to us Barabbas. That's Monica Lewinsky's problem, man. Her imagery doesn't go deep enough. In this perfunctory, voyeuristic way, I gaze through the testimonies, through cross-examination, through summation, observing not the trial, but a distorted shadow of the trial as it reflected through the lenses of friends and pundits and weirdos. Shadows of reflection through lenses. Ooh. And the queasier I felt about this behavior, even if millions of others were doing the same, the more I came to realize that distortion, not objectivity, has evolved into acceptable lingua franca. Who's doing the distortion again with the comparisons to the Eichmann? Okay. There's another complicating factor at play. Is there, though? Is there? Because the trial has been available live on our screens, we think, subconsciously, we have a right to look and watch. I'm going to let that sit in for just a second. Because the trial has been in our screens, we think we have the right to sit in and watch. Well, Miss Lewinsky, I would like to direct your attention to the United States Constitution, which has some words it would like to share about the public's ability to view and access vis-a-vis trials. I forget. Are the trials in the private? Are the trials in the private with the privateness? Or are they in the public with the publicness? I can't remember. I can't remember. It's almost like the public thinks they have a right to the trials. Wherever would they get this strange, novel idea? The public has the right to a trial. Public trial. I don't know. It is a strange concept. Maybe if we think about it really hard, we could think about a reason the public might think they have a right to look and view and comment on the trial in a public way. I mean, maybe there's some document somewhere that speaks to that, and also their ability to have opinions. And, maybe speak about those opinions, perhaps using some sort of, we'll call it press-like mechanism. I don't know where they're getting these ideas from, Miss Lewinsky. Maybe we can look into it more. Wow. I'm just going to read that again because it was so good the first couple times. There's another complicating factor in play because the trial has been available live on our screens. We think subconsciously we have the right to look and watch. Wow. To judge, to comment. Again, the right to comment, you say? The right to comment? I mean, wherever would we get this strange idea that we have a right to comment? I don't know. I've only been a lawyer for, let's see, 15 years, and I don't know where they're getting these strange ideas from. And we end up with this confusing cultural crossover of watching two people whom we're used to seeing as actors acting on a screen. Well, we're used to seeing them as actors, but as to acting on a screen, only one of the two. In a setting, a courtroom, where we normally expect them to be assuming their character roles. In the courtroom? Have you confused reality and fantasy again? The blurring of public figures and private lives. What? Can do a number on us as bystanders, as an audience. Oh my God, we're all guilty for viewing it in a public way, the trial, which appears to be is it a public trial or a private trial? I can't remember. We end up being torn between our parasocial relationships with celebrities. We identify with them. We pretend that, gee, we actually know them. And our need to see public personalities taken down a notch or two, and taken down publicly, so as to make our wounded selves feel better in comparison. Or maybe people getting what they deserve. You know, the short definition of justice is people getting what they deserve. Now, what people deserve are entire seminars in schools. You can spend semester or more on the concept of what do people deserve. Michael Sandel from Harvard has done some good work on this. I recommend his course, which is available online on YouTube for free, and also his book, Justice, which helps to explore these concepts as a good starting point. But yes, we could have entire discussions about what people deserve. But, you know, seeing them get it is, in fact, one of the short definitions of justice. As Huxley put it in Brave New World, we are booked on Soma, a drug we think is making us feel better, but actually numbing us. Huxley, of course, wouldn't blame us as we go about braving out our new world of COVID variants, monkeypox, Ukraine, politics, and mass murders. Well, the article truly has become complete. Ukraine has entered the picture. Are we all guilty for being concerned about Ukraine? Is that okay? Can we be concerned about that? Does Monica Lewinsky have a position about our thoughts on? Okay. And courtroom porn does the trick. You know, Monica Lewinsky, I'm not 100% sure that you writing an article using the word porn is the most advisable step, but you know, you do you, because it wouldn't be the first time. I wasn't surprised the memes about Amber Heard far outnumber those about Johnny Depp. Well, maybe it's because one of them is a piece of trash. I wasn't surprised that the cruel and vitriolic discourse was predominantly aimed at the woman. And I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was, that shortly after my search, I began to be served suggested posts on the trial. But they were less about Depp and Heard, more seemed to be about to idealize Camille Vasquez. What is wrong? I'm sure you're about to tell me. But before you do, let me ask the question rhetorically anyway. What is wrong with idealizing Camille Vasquez? Why is that bad? For her performance, cross-examining Heard, it was pretty great. Oh, you thought we wouldn't have any girl-on-girl action this trial? That's on Misogyny's greatest hit albums. I am going to be sick on the misogyny thing. So it's misogyny. Let me just make sure I completely understand this thesis. It's misogyny for there to be woman-on-woman action. It is misogyny for a strong, competent, educated, skilled, knowledgeable, witty, sharp, on point, in control, professional woman to hold another woman to account. Presumably, it would also be misogyny if repeat all the traits I just said, but strike out the word woman and insert the word man. All those things man held a woman to account. That would also be the misogyny. So the conclusion apparently is it's misogyny when you hold a woman to account, which means women shouldn't be held to account, which also seems pretty misogynistic to my mind. But this is also what happens when, you know, you try to apply logic to the whole thing. I was under the impression, and apparently mistaken impression this entire time, that the core goal of feminism was to allow the smart, competent, educated, skilled women to thrive and rise under the strength of their merits. and you take a look at a woman like Camille Vasquez, or you look at a woman like the judge with her career, first as a Marine and now as a kick-ass judge, and you say, hey, these are strong, capable, knowledgeable, professional, capable, experienced women. And now noting that is bad. Noting that is somehow misogyny. Even though I thought it was the goal of feminism the whole time, I am confused. This legal spectacle, as opposed to all the other legal spectacles, in the history of the world, would be sad enough if it just impacted the personal lives of Depp, Heard, and their loved ones. It would be sad enough even if we just considered how it has impacted domestic violence survivors, or those who have strength in the Me Too movement. I'm sorry we exposed the liars and all, but if the Me Too movement was premised on us never exposing liars, it deserves to die. One would hope the Me Too movement is not resting on such a sketchy premise. However, is the larger implications for our culture that concern me the most. The ways we have stoked the flames of misogyny, and separately, the celebrity circus. We need to have a whole video series, I think, at this point. We need to have a whole video series, and the entire video series can be called, What is Misogyny? What is misogyny? We can have an entire video series about it. We can have discussions about it, because I'm getting more than a little bit tired of everything being misogyny. I'm getting a little bit tired of Camille Vasquez being misogyny. I'm getting tired of the judge being misogyny. I'm getting tired of Chu being misogyny. I'm getting tired of Legal Bites apparently being misogyny at some points, depending on who you ask. And Emily D. Baker being misogyny. I thought they were all strong women this whole time, but apparently it's all one big misogyny or something. I don't know. Holy shit. Question, is it true that in Virginia, Amber Heard would have to put out the entire bond to file an appeal? I honestly don't know. And is what Elaine is doing on TV tour worse than the statement Waldman made? Arguably. It is not just that two individuals and how you feel about them or this situation. It's the cultural collateral damage. Is the implicit message that burrows into us like worm bugs from the Matrix. That's a bit of a dated reference, but maybe it's specifically dated because it's meant to throw us back to 1998 or something. I don't know. It is the implicit messaging. Okay, we read that. Crawling deep into our collective unconscious, our angst, our fiber. Wow, this is powerful. It's going straight to the fiber of our being. Man, this trial is truly insidious. Dawson's threaded reference, the trial, impact on those currently suffering in domestic abuse relationships and those that have survived them. And suddenly, after my retweet, a Twitter war ensued in my timeline over whether plaintiff or defendant was more responsible for triggering domestic violence survivors. Yeah. And the Oscar for best trauma-triggering performance goes to. I see the words on the page. I am reading the words on the page. I have talked about the words on the page. I am somewhat deep into the article on the page. And at this point, I am left with one question. What the hell are you talking about? In the end, the ways we have contemporaneously co-opted the trial for our own purposes, in the public trial, in a public way, with the public, publicly commenting in public, are signs of how many of us, those social media mongrelized, have continued to devalue our dignity and humanity. We're devaluing ourselves. Again, Monica Lewinsky, do you really want to make an argument about people who are devaluing themselves? Really? Okay. Forgive me if I climb up on my high horse, no, I don't think I will, for a paragraph or two. Having been on the receiving end of this kind of cruelty, I can tell you the scars never fade. Was it because you were held accountable for your actions? I'm certainly not here to tell you not to watch the verdict or not to have an opinion. I don't know, Monica. It seems a lot to me like you're here to say exactly those things and have been saying those things for quite some time. Or perhaps if I do, I'm no better than Eichmann. What is defined as too far? Oh, I'm sure you're going to tell us. As we've watched this story unfold, what does our opinion entitle us to? Our opinion entitles us to our opinion. Yeah. Does it entitle us to say who we believe? Yes. I would think. I would think, in fact, our opinion does entitle us to say who we believe. I would think believing somebody would be a valid method of expression of, what would be the word for it? Opinion? To restate the cherry-picked facts we've gloomed onto that have led us as virtual jurors to just feel us in our bones. I don't know. I've watched pretty much the whole trial. I don't know how cherry-picked it is, Monica. Yeah, sure. But does it entitle us to be cruel? Well, thanks for gatekeeping what emotions and opinions we're allowed to have, Monica. I'm glad we put you in charge of the gatekeeping. I'm not talking about freedom of speech. You're talking about freedom of speech, Monica. I hate to break it to you, but you really are. I'm talking about social media participants recognizing that they are also part of society of human beings. What? Does our opinion towards this case entail us to feel so superior to Amber Heard? Yeah, I think it does. Or inferior, that we can create a meme or TikTok or tweet saying something that gets other people to laugh at someone who's already suffering. But she's not suffering, though. That's the thing. She's a liar. A liar. Something you should have experience with. Do we have the right to get dopamine hits or money from our number of followers or tweets or clicks? As opposed to whom? The mainstream media who's been doing this forever? According to science fiction officer Greg Fishbone, founder of the microsite Mythreversal, for the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks come into the party. Well, we had Eichmann, and we had O.J. Simpson, and now we're getting to the Greeks, to the very fount of society itself. How fun. Tell me about the Greeks. A misema was a moral taint that hung over a person, family, or city after the commission of a crime. The misema could be crop failure, cattle disease, stillbirth, and other plagues until it could be dispelled by sacrifice, purification, or upon the death of the guilty party. What we have now, arguably, is a cultural misema. Wow. We are drenched in the taint again, Monica. Are you sure you want to use a word like taint? Okay. We are drenched in the taint of the dirt and aggression of the social media wars. The obsessive chatter about the Depp Heard trial is just one small example of the ever-expanding, ever-demanding search for schadenfreude and titillation. Again, word choice. No matter who the jury verdict favors, be it defendant Heard or plaintiff Depp, we are all guilty. Wow. Wow. That is just, wow. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Thank you so much for being part of the Uncivil Law family. If you enjoyed this legal education content, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. We appreciate your continuing support. Until later, my friends, cheers and goodbye.